Hi everyone and welcome to my morning report analysis videos with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Hantec Markets on Monday 24th of September. There's been a bit of a mixed open actually. It's interesting because we had initially a bit of risk appetite which was negative, coming off the fact that the US and China have both now initiated this latest ramp up in the tariffs dispute today, and that sort of hit markets initially. Certainly in the Asian session we saw a bit of a safe haven bias whereby we saw the dollar performing stronger, we saw the yen performing stronger. However, that's just unwound a touch because that dollar, which had been a little bit more positive, you can see that what we are now seeing is the euro up, sterling up. I'll talk about that in a bit, but also we're seeing that just a little bit of stabilisation across maybe gold. Equity markets have also sort of rebounded from earlier selling pressure as well. So there's a slight sort of improvement as the European session has started to develop, but still there's a slight vibe of risk off, but nothing too significant now. What we saw at the back end of last week was the dollar breaking down on the trade weighted below 94.08 on the dollar index. That was a key level breached, and that sort of really does suggest the dollar is still sort of rolling over. How this starts to sort of impact on markets coming forward will be interesting if that move is confirmed. Not quite yet confirmed on the breakdown. The Chinese yuan is a little bit lighter this morning as the dollar has strengthened. And it's interesting to see that treasury yields are sort of consolidating really a little bit higher on the 10-year and also on the 2-year. Sort of coming away from the what had seemed earlier as a little bit of a risk-off sentiment. It's just unwinding as we come through the European session. So sterling is another factor that we need to really discuss. We had pretty negative outcome from the Brexit negotiations at the back end of last week. Didn't come through for a deal. It was still the sticking point being the Northern Ireland border, and certainly doesn't seem as though anything's sort of forthcoming especially, but also you add into the fact that over the weekend the UK Labour Party are now talking about a second referendum, and that is sort of raises the prospect of possibly UK even staying in the European Union. So there's going to be a sizable amount of volatility, I think, in sterling in the coming weeks. And that's going to certainly impact on how cable moves. And cable is 40 pips higher today on the back of that. So interesting that considering it lost over 100 pips on Friday and rebounding a touch today. So takes me to data points. Nothing on the economic calendar today of any note whatsoever. So moving quickly on from that. And we can focus on my chart today, which is Euro Aussie. Now, as I said, Euro Aussie, or the Aussie, has been performing better in the last week or so, certainly given that big bearish engulfing candle against Euro Aussie, and then subsequent breakdown below 161.35, which completed a small top pattern. Market sort of played around with that neckline, a little bit above that neckline today, but certainly these momentum indicators looking a bit more corrective. And if the market sort of rolls over around this sort of area, 62.10 today's high, if you see another lower high below that 63.30 level, I think we could start to see more of a corrective outlook. You can see on the hourly chart, if I zoom out, you can see how this 144-hour moving average was a consistent basis of support through August and September. That is now sort of turned lower and is now becoming a basis of resistance. And if the market sort of gauges itself off that, it'll be interesting because that does look as though it's turning a bit more corrective. As I said, another low high below 63.30, perhaps, if I zoom in here, perhaps around the 62.10, 62.30 mark, maybe around that sort of level. If you get another lower high in that range, then that could be a selling opportunity. So let's see how this one develops. But in an interesting development that we have seen on Euro Aussie in the last week. So with that in mind, I wish you good luck in your trading, and I will speak to you later.